In light of celebrating National Mental Health Awareness Month, we are reminded to be kind. We are reminded to be mindful and more aware of some of the things that people might be struggling with. Mental health is not something that we can see physically, but it's something that manifests in our behavior. And so it's sometimes harder for us to see, the struggles that people are going through. And so we are reminded to be kind, be patient, and to give people the benefit of the doubt more so than not. But more importantly, I am reminded of the spiritual aspect of mental health and how our minds are affected by the spiritual world. Now we know that when Satan attacks us, he attacks our minds. This is where he is most interested in, because the mind controls everything else in our lives. The mind is the hub or the central processing unit of our body. We cannot operate without the mind. And so when he attacks us, this is where he goes after first. 2 Corinthians 4 verse 4 says, "The God of this age has blinded the minds of unbelievers so that they cannot see the light of the gospel that displays the glory of Christ." So we know that Satan's main attack is on the mind, which is no surprise as to why we have so many people struggling with mental health challenges. And so in guarding our minds from the attacks of the enemy, how does God teach us to shield ourselves from the attacks of the enemy? You know that Romans 12 verse 2 says, "Be not conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of our minds." Philippians 4 verse 2 says, "Whatever is true, noble, right, pure, lovely, admirable, excellent, praiseworthy, think on these things." Isaiah 26 verse 3, "You will keep in perfect peace those whose minds are steadfast, because they trust in you." Finally, Proverbs 23 verse 7 says, "So a man thinketh, so is he." So as we acknowledge National Mental Health Awareness Month, let's not forget that God has given us a remedy that transcends all time, transcends all medication, transcends all other options. And he told us that if we keep our minds steadfast on him, if we think on pure, holy, lovely, positive things, and if we remember to put our trust in him and to keep our focus on him, we reverse things that the enemy caused in our minds, and we begin to clean up all the mess that he makes. So there's no doubt that the main feature of Satan's attack is our minds, because it is our home. But God gives us a remedy. He tells us what we can do is to keep our minds steadfast and focus on him, and trust in him, and trust in his word, and keep our minds on positive things, which ultimately comes from God. God is love. So if we keep our minds towards a healthy outlook, we resist the enemy, and he eventually has to flee. And so he will not have hold of our minds, and he will not have his way in our lives. And so as we stay aware of what the month means, let's remember that God teaches us, and he tells us how we can counteract and stay victorious and prosperous in such a time as this. God bless you.